Sure don't want to see a precedent set. Now I have a preliminary plot here that I got from Tony on it when I first came in. And ordinarily when you lay out on the subdivision, not only do you have everything shown, the easements like utility easements like for the gas and electric and the telephone and the cable or just whatever. And also, each lot also has an address on them and they're numbered. Now, when they go through the planning and zoning, this is all done that properly. And this is what I don't see on the plot plan. And I'm kind of concerned that you're going to lay concrete before you get all this done.
Was your question then, you want me to try to help you guide you through how we got to here? Was that fair, what your question was?
Well, I know the city needs housing. I mean,
Right.
that much
So,
I know.
Maybe I can touch a couple things that might help
Yeah.
with a little bit of what you were just mentioning.
Yeah, well, I mean, heck, I don't want to see the taxpayer get stuck with this thing.
Sure, yeah, and I can understand that, and that's not the
I mean,
goal
the
of the
cost should be
council
accountable.
or any staff. A few months back, you may recall, we were talking about zoning issues related to the Williams Bend development area, both on the east and west side, and there currently is some construction happening right on the corner of Williams Drive and 20th Avenue North. At that time, we were showing drawings and different proposals or possible layouts of the land that would be north and east of 20th Avenue North and Williams Drive that's being developed currently. That road was shown as 24th Avenue North. It's been the city's intention to work with any or multiple developers, depending on how things went, to put in 24th Avenue North and provide single-family residential lots on both the north and south side of that road. Working through the platting process, developers had come forward with proposals of how they would like to purchase that land and plat it and get it prepared. So in conjunction with the design of that road, we also were working on the platting and the engineering related to all the utilities that you were speaking of. Now tonight, the council is taking the first step, awarding the contract to construct that road and the related utilities and setting dates for rezoning, and tomorrow evening, our Planning and Zoning Commission will be meeting to discuss those zoning items as well as a preliminary plat that then the council will take further action on in meetings that are coming forth throughout the month of September and probably into early October. So all those steps you're talking about were somewhat happening simultaneously as we were working with developers to decide how it was going to be platted, how it was going to be zoned. So all those things are taking place. As for the taxpayers and the road, the development agreement that will be forthcoming to the council table will cover the cost of the road through the use of special assessments to the developer every time they build a property or sell a property. When they purchase the property as well, that will be paying back the road cost, and the use of tax increment financing from the properties that will be on that road. And based on the pro forma, the city would be made whole for the cost of that road and related utilities.
So the city are also going to put in just electric and gas and everything else?
Correct. And all that, the gas and electric are typically rebated to the developer through Mid-America Energy. Almost any development that occurs, if you have to stub in gas or electric, as meters are set in place, the developer themselves receive a rebate from Mid-America on gas and electric.
So it is going to go through planning and zoning, and there will be a public input on that,
Correct.
and they'll be able to approve or disapprove it. Well, of course, council has final say
Well,
on that.
Planning and zoning makes a recommendation to
Right,
approve
I'm
or not
aware of
approve.
that.
They don't have actual
No, I'm
final
aware of that.
authority. The council then, based on their recommendation, would take action to approve or not approve.
But, you have to have a hearing on it because this, according to the state law, anybody within this, that own property within the 300 feet of this area,
200 feet is
I
the
thought it was
accurate
300.
number. 200 feet within the area that would be presented to be rezoned. And if you look later in the agenda, I believe it's items L and M, are setting those public hearings for next Monday.
So all that'll be done before the concrete's put in.
Well, yeah, they couldn't possibly build that in a week. Yeah, I mean, I love Rash Construction. They're pretty fast, but they're not that
Well, I
fast.
know that, but we're running out of weather too.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll be lucky to have mobilized or even started to move equipment there, I would guess, by next Monday.
Yeah, well, I just don't want to set a precedent that one contractor can have all that done and the next contractor can't.
It's a unique circumstance to have the city, the Betterment Foundation, involved in a housing development. It's kind of based on a historical issue that Fort Dodge has not had residential development because there's always seemed to be a barrier to it. Using the city and the Betterment Foundation, that's kind of what our goal was, is to reduce that barrier to development, to show that it can be done, and provide good quality housing for a growing workforce and a growing population.
Well, I've lived long enough in Fort Dodge that some of our development up by Cooper School there where all it was mud streets and they're putting in houses on them. And
Yeah.
I just don't want to see that happen.
No, and you know, you'll see a lot of action. If you're very interested in this project, I'm sure we could keep you up to date on it, or keep coming to these meetings, and you'll be seeing maps and different things shown for developments that are going to be occurring both on the east and west side of Williams Drive.
Okay, I have my say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And what time is that planning and zoning meeting tomorrow?
Tomorrow night's planning and zoning. I believe it's
5.
there at 5. It's at 4. It's at 4. Is there any other public comment during this hearing item? Hearing none, we'll close the hearing and move to item 3A, please.
Resolution approving plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimate of cost for the 24th Avenue North construction project for the city of Fort Dodge, Iowa.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimated cost of the 24th Avenue North construction project.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Comments from the public? Anything from the table? All those in favor of item 3A, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Show that passed unanimous. Item 3B.
Resolution awarding contract for the 24th Avenue North construction project for the city of Fort Dodge, Iowa to Rash Construction in the amount of $1,134,407.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the contract for the 24th Avenue North construction project to Rash Construction, accepting alternative bid number 2 for asphalt paving.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to award the contract, awarding to Rash Construction using alternate 2 for asphalt paving. Is there any comments from the public? Anything from the table? The asphalt paving alternate is is a difference of $1,500, and it should make the project go a little bit quicker in getting the actual roadway in. So, any other comments?
Keeps money local.
Does. Okay, all those in favor of item 3B, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Show that passed unanimously. Item 4 is a public hearing.
Public hearing to consider vacating and disposing of public right-of-way in Snell Place Addition, Fort Dodge, Webster County, Iowa.
We'll declare the public hearing open and ask first for written comment.
There were no written comments.
Is there any comments from the public on this hearing item? Hearing none, we'll close the hearing and move to item 4A.
First consideration of ordinance number 2269, an ordinance providing for the vacation and disposition of public right-of-way north of 910 Northwood Avenue.
Mr. Mayor, I would move to approve first consideration of ordinance number 2269.
It's been moved and seconded. Comments from the public? Anything from the table? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Show that passed unanimous. Item 4B.
Mr. Mayor, before we get to 4B, I would make a motion to waive the second and third considerations of item 4A.
It's been moved and seconded to waive the second and third readings. Any additional comments from the table?
It's my understanding that the individuals that own the property are wanting to erect a fence and some landscaping, and their hope is to do that before the winter months.
Very well. Anything else? Absolutely. All those in favor of waiving the second and third reading, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Show that passed unanimous. Item 4B.
Resolution approving the disposition of vacated right-of-way north of 910 Northwood Avenue.
Mr. Mayor, I would move to approve this resolution.
It's been moved and seconded. Last chance for public comment. Anything additional from the table? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Show that carried unanimous. Item 5 is a public hearing.
Public hearing to consider disposing of property, former Sertoma ball fields located at the corner of 8th Avenue South and 29th Street, Fort Dodge, Webster County, Iowa.
We'll declare the public hearing open and ask first for written comment.
There were no written comments.
Is there any comments from the public? Hearing no comment, we'll close the hearing and move to item 6, which is a public hearing.
Public hearing to consider a development agreement between the city and KDG Properties LLC in connection with the redevelopment of the Warden Plaza building in the Center City and Industrial Park urban renewal areas, which agreement provides for certain financial incentives in the form of incremental property tax payments to the developer in a total amount not exceeding $2.5 million as authorized by Section 403.9 of the Code of Iowa.
We'll declare the public hearing open and ask first for written comment.
There were no written comments.
Is there any comments from the public on this hearing item? Hearing none, we'll close the hearing and move to item 7, committee and department reports, correspondence. I do not have a proclamation. My apologies. Anything? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move to item 8, comments and questions from the public. Is there any comments or questions not on the agenda? Is there any comments or questions on the consent agenda? We'll move to item 9, which is the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda, removing item I for separate vote.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda, removing I. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Show that passed unanimous. Item I.
Change order number 1 in the amount of $600,695.94 from Ferguson Enterprises for advanced metering infrastructure and water meter replacement project.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve change order number 1, Ferguson Enterprises. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Comments from the table?
I'd like to have Brett Daniel come up. I have some questions. Good evening.
Good evening.
I was just wondering if you could explain the current procedure that we have for non-payments of water bill?
For delinquency?
Yes.
Okay. Presently, what we do, the first step that's sent out is a delinquent notice. It gives you, I believe, 13 days to pay your water bill. We send out approximately 1,800 to 2,000 of those a month, and then from that point, it gets reduced down to our actual shut-off list, which is approximately 350 to 400 per the 2 cycles. What we were previously trying to do is shut all those off. We were trying to just kind of, I don't want to say train the public, but get them just to make sure they're paying on time after the delinquent notices went out. We obviously don't have the manpower to shut off 350 to 400 accounts every month. So what we've done recently is kind of try to adapt a little bit, and now we're going back to leaving cards, trying to chase them back in, which is an additional trip. So once they don't respond to that, then we do shut them off.
These primarily rental units that we're looking at?
Yes, a majority of them.
Well, I guess my concern with this change order, first off, is the amount. I think this should have been presented to us as an alternative bid with our water meter installation at the same time. To have a change order representing 25% of the cost of what we had already approved, I somewhat question, the timeline with this. It would have been easier, I guess, on us if we would have had it initially. I think as a business model, which the water department is, to have that number of people that aren't paying in a timely fashion, no business in the world can operate with those kind of margins, with that kind of a response. And I just wonder if there isn't some other sustainable option that we could look at. To first off, how do you pick 1,000 people or 1,000 units? I mean, do you indiscriminately just pick the ones that have been tardy in the past? I don't.
Yeah, I can explain that. How we came up with that 1,000 number, where we originally started was we cross-referenced our rental units, which is a lot more than just 1,000, with ones that had been delinquent. At that point in time, I believe it had to have been four out of the 6 months. They already had to have been delinquent. And then we cross-referenced those to see which ones matched, and we came up with a number around 800, I believe, and then kind of up that same, we know we have more than 800 accounts where we could apply that. Rental units, I think, way over 2,000, so we couldn't reach all the rental units. And just so people don't get alarmed, the only reason we bring up rental units isn't just strictly for delinquency purposes, it's also our high traffic areas, meaning people come in and out, they move in and out, so we have to take trips to turn the water off, turn the water on, in between tenants and property owners. So that's how we came up with. We cross-referenced rental units with the most delinquency, and that's the number we came up with.
Okay, so we're doing 10,000 water meters in town, just over 10,000.
Correct.
And so we're going to be putting these on those units. And you said in an email that I got last week when I questioned this, that you've done 1,500 of these units already?
Correct. Yep.
Are
as
any of
in-
those 1,500 ones that you consider to be at risk for being delinquent? Are we going to have to access the properties one more time to get in and do the work that needs to be done?
No, we'll find other applications for those. We're not gonna bother the property owners. The only ways we would is if, for some reason, the property owner wanted us to, and it was a good application. Meaning, there might be some landlords out there that find a benefit for that, so then we're not kind of messing around with their stop boxes, causing what could be a bigger problem. So if we were notified of some of them that, hey, we would like one of those, and they were sent to be one of those already, then we would possibly go back and do that. But the plan going into this is just to keep moving forward.
If a property owner wanted to not have their stop box replaced and just wanted to put one of these in, did they have that option?
We'd have to
Instead of
change
a
our
stop box?
We'd have to change our policy and code, because right now it states that your stop box must be in operating condition. But we've had discussion with it, and I believe it's a good alternative, to be able to offer that rather than potentially digging up your stop box, which could lead into service, a complete total service. So I believe it'd be a good alternative, but that'd be for a future discussion.
Okay.
If that's the case, could we bill the property owner for the unit of this valve instead of digging up a stop box and billing them for the repair of that?
That would be what I would like to see, yes. I mean, once again, we would have to discuss that and bring that as change to code, like but yeah, that would be how I would like to see it. At least give them an alternative choice.
Excuse me, Dean, what'd you say there again? I missed that. What'd you say?
That we could
Speak in your mic.
we could install these valves instead of going in and digging up and repairing the stop box and charging the property owner for this valve instead of the charge of digging up the stop box.
Yeah, okay.
Is the new stop box that you're talking about, is that applied adjacent to the meter, or do we go out and actually have to work on the stop valve?
The stop box,
The one that you're talking about buying for $600,000, is that placed adjacent to the new water meters?
yes, it's in the home next to the water meter. It's separate from the water meter itself. It's not built into the water meter. It's like a separate pipe that it shuts it off.
It does not take the replace of the main valve in the house already?
It will not take, nope, they'll
In case
still have,
somebody wants to shut it off with their main valve to...
correct. You'll still have all the infrastructure before that. Still have to have a water meter or a valve inside before the meter that works.
It's very similar to what U.S. Water was talking about with the SCADA system and being able to open and close valves. Basically, the remote read of the meter also allows the functionality of this valve. To me, long term, there's a benefit there and a savings to offset. It would be hard to realize that in a quick and easy. It's over time. The council could say we don't want to do 1,000. You could do less. And you could pull some back and say, well, we want to hold back 50 of them for landlords that are interested in having them installed, or your problematic shutoffs, or if you run into a stop box issue. There's different ways to do this, and long-term implementation of it is probably of great value to the functionality of the overall utility, and saves manpower, time, all those relative things. It'd just be hard to quantify that up front.
And we are not bound to that 1,000. We're not. So if we can only come up with 800 good applications, because a couple hundred have already been done, that's all we'll pay for is those 800 applications.
And to pay this off, is this gonna lead to an increase in our water rates?
It will be no different than what we've already proposed for the whole water meter project cost.
And I did talk to Jeff earlier today that it would still be on the same 10-year time frame to pay this off. So it would not extend the time of the loan.
Correct.
Are these tamper-proof? Do they have wires going to them, or?
The infrastructure itself, the water meter does have tamper-proof flags, but this itself is not. I mean, it'd be no different than if someone wanted to remove a meter, they could still physically do it. It would be a little more difficult to do because it's not just a meter. There's more to it.
Well, I know people try anything.
Yeah, and I think on a small measure, they still potentially could, Dean, but I think overall,
Be able to tell that through the computer?
the computer has tamper-proof flags and things like that, yep.
Brett, what's the useful life of one of these meters?
The meters is 15 to 20 years. This shutoff valve is warranted for 15, the exact same as the meter.
Okay.
I have a procedural question, and maybe it's more directed over to Mark. Is this proper to be a change order? Because I mean, I get where it fits in terms of timing for meter replacement, but isn't it outside the scope? Would we have to do a separate bidding for this project, or can we fit it in with a change order?
We were instructed by our design engineers that we could do this as a change order, so I'd take their direction if they know what is within the bidding laws. And the reason we did it as a change order versus a separate bid is under this project we do get the 30% loan forgiveness. So if we wait and do these later, we won't get that. And to kind of repeat what I sent in an email earlier to Councilmember Menke is, we did this as a change order because there were two things that were unknown when we bid the first time. One is that we were going to get very favorable bids, and the second is that we could get the loan forgiveness on these remote shutoffs. We figured that we got that information after it was already bid out, and that's where we decided that it was worth doing the change order, because it seemed like financially the right thing to do, because we're doing the whole project, including this additional work, under our initial budget proposal to begin with. So.
Other comments or questions?
Do these rental people, do they make a deposit on their water when they come in?
Yes.
And that does not cover in case they leave? I mean, what is our deposit and what are the rates? I mean, what's the reasons they get it back?
Don't quote me, I believe it's $100 is the deposit.
It is. $100.
And about 10 years ago, that probably covered most water bills. It's not covering most of them now. So when they leave, really, we have no way of doing anything other than trying to transfer it to their account if they move into another account, or, I don't know, you can correct me, Jeff, I don't know if they can get it off offset or on offset.
It's my understanding from the utility billing group that because of the manpower issues and the long list of potential shutoffs, that somebody could start small with less than $100, and before they made it into the list that is going to be shut off for that particular month, it would go above the $100 being owed, and there's potential that we are writing off things or looking to collect long term for that, because it's not a high enough deposit, because it takes us so long to shut off, because you're working from the highest dollar to the lowest dollar.
So if we cannot shut it off, is the homeowner then assessed the charge for the stop box?
Yes.
If it breaks.
Correct.
Yeah. If
Yep.
it functions and then you can turn it on and off, there's no action taken other than they got to pay the delinquency before it's turned on. But if it is broken, it is on them to make the repair, or it will be repaired for them and assessed against that same bill.
Yep.
I just want to mention, we also have a lot of 2-on-1 services out there that this would be helpful on, because they're only got one stop box for multiple services. So, and this would be the perfect application for a situation like that.
And we do have those included in that list of 800 I was telling you about that we will include in that.
I had one other quick question. On here, they had 3 properties that required additional work. One of them was 22556 Kansas Avenue. They had a meter coupling.
Okay.
According to the county assessor, there is no address, 22556 Kansas Avenue.
Okay.
So where are you putting it?
I will have to take a look at that.
Okay.
I'll have to take a look at that address specifically and let you know. I know we have had a couple of couplings out there. Well, actually, we've had quite a few of them. All it is just the outlet side of the meter can't be connected. It's directly piped in. As far as why we missed that address, I will say that some of our addresses in our system don't actually coincide with the county. So maybe there was one that was missed there that we have is off by a digit or two, but I'll double check that. Yep.
Anything else? Did you have something, Mr. Flynn?
I'd just like to state that, even with the addition of the 600,000 and taking into account the 30% that we'll be saving in loan forgiveness, it still keeps us well under our original estimated budget expenditure for this item that we had set back at the beginning of the year.
Very good. Okay. We have a motion to approve item I. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Show that carried unanimously. Item 10 is ordinance and amendments, item 10A.
Second consideration of ordinance number 2268, an ordinance providing for the division of taxes levied on taxable property in the August 2017 Center City and Industrial Park Urban Renewal Areas Edition pursuant to Section 403.19 of the Code of Iowa.
And Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move agenda item 10A as read.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments from the public? Anything from the table? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Show that passed unanimous. Item 11 is final payments. Item 11A, please.
Change order number 3 in the amount of $181,599.40 and pay application number 6, subfinal in the amount of $424,631.91 from Rash Construction for the East Region Phase 3A project.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve change order number 3 and pay application number 6 subfinal to Rash Construction.
It's been moved and seconded. Comments from the public? Anything from the table? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Show that passed unanimous. Item 11B.
Pay application number 12, subfinal, in the amount of $77,691.50 from Wicks Construction for the East Region Phase 2 project.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve pay application number 12 subfinal to Wicks Construction.
It's been moved and seconded. Comments from the public? Anything from the table? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Show that passed unanimous. Last item on the agenda is comments and questions from the public. Is there anything additional this evening? Hearing none, I would take a motion to adjourn, please.
So move.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 This meeting's adjourned. Thank you for attending.
You know, and I knew it. You know?
We're supposed to be here.
It's worked out every time Don's been here. We didn't have anybody talk or...